Tie it up, tie it up, tie that fly. Tie one on with Brian.
Hey folks, welcome to Tie One On with Brian here on Branch County Outdoors. This week's pattern I'm going to show you is one of my favorite during the spawning time for the bluegills when they're on the beds. You're going to find this fly very effective, it's very durable. It's called the indestructible bluegill bug. The materials you're going to need for this fly are a size 10 dry fly hook, 8/0 tying thread, round rubber for the tail, 2 strands, 1/8" fly foam. You can buy this in sheets at Gander Mountain in cold water. I'm using black for this pattern. And also round rubber for the wings. I use 1 strand on each side of the hook. These are the ingredients you're going to need. When we come back after the commercial breaks, we're going to show you how to put this thing together. Stay tuned.
Tie one on with Brian.
Everybody's got their favorite spot. And no matter where yours is, there's another spot that'll probably become your second favorite. Gander Mountain. They're outdoors people, like you. They've got great prices, and they understand that when it comes to where you get your gear, about the only thing an outdoor store can't camouflage is inexperience. Gander Mountain. We live outdoors.
Tie it up, tie it up, tie that fly. Tie one on with Brian.
Welcome back folks to Tie One On with Brian. We're going to start putting this fly together. The first thing we want to do is start our thread at the eye of the hook and cover the shank all the way to the rear of the bend. We're going to cut off the tag end, and then we're going to grab 2 of those round rubber strands. This is for the tail, and I'm going to lay this on the shank of the hook, covering about 2/3 of the shank. Now this is going to want to roll on the shank for you, so what you have to do is hold it at the top of the hook, come up with a loose wrap, and then apply a little tension. See how it wants to roll around? So you have to make it do what it wants to do with your finger. Loose wrap, tight wrap, loose wrap, pull it tight, loose wrap, pull it tight, and so on. So I'm just kind of carrying my finger right up with it, make a few turns right at the front of it, and then spiral wrap it back to the back. This is where we're going to tie in our body. Now for the body, I'm using this 1/8" fly foam. It comes in a 6 by 10" piece. It costs about $1. You can get this at Gander Mountain in cold water. It's very inexpensive, and you can tie hundreds of flies from 1 sheet. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip about 1/4 inch wide, and again about 1 inch or 1.25 inches long. Now the next thing I'm going to do is taper the ends of it to make it look like a little point. This is my tie-in point. Now as the thread's here at the back of the hook or at the bend of the hook, again I'm going to keep it on the top. I'm going to do a loose wrap and then pull it tight, loose wrap, pull it tight, loose wrap, pull it tight. And I'll go back and forth over this a couple of 3 times to make sure it's good and secure. Now, after I secured that foam down, I want to advance the thread to about 1/8 of an inch behind the eye of the hook, right here. This is where I'm going to make the body and the head. I'm going to pull the foam forward, and then I'm going to bring my thread around, loose, then pull it tight, loose, pull it tight, and so on. Take several turns of thread. Now I just made the head or the body and the head. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take the head part of the tag end part of the foam, and I'm going to pull it back straight up, and I'm going to clip it off like so, about 1/8 of an inch above that wrap. So now what I just did is made the body and the head. The next step and the final step of this fly, it's a very simple fly pattern. I'm going to take the other 2 strands of round rubber that I have, and I'm going to separate them into single strands. Now, with a single strand facing me, I'm going to lay it on the side of the fly body, right on that same tie-in point, loose, Pull it tight, loose, pull it tight with several turns of thread. Now I just tied that in. There's kind of a top view of it. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side of the fly facing you. Right in the halfway point, loose, then tight, loose, then tight, loose, then tight. Now if these aren't even, you can always stretch them a little bit and even them out. They will adjust. There, I made them even. Now that I made my turns of thread, I'm going to take my my index finger, second finger and thumb, make a little tripod here. I'm going to pull everything back, kind of stroke it back and bring the thread up in front and behind the eye of the hook and build a small head. What this does is it gives this head of this fly a little lift. By having that lift on that fly, when I'm pulling it across the water, it gives it a slight pop, kind of like those cork poppers that some of you have probably fished with. But this fly will pop, and also the wings and tail kind of undulate in the water. Even the wings out. Now I'm going to take a whip finish. I'm going to use a whip finishing tool, and later on we'll have another show showing you just how to use this tool. Again, this tool is available also at Gander Mountain. It's very handy for doing a whip finish, especially with flies with a confined space here where you can't do a hand whip finish. You need a tool to get in there and make that whip finish. So now I'm going to take my whip finisher and do a whip finish, cut the thread, and then we want to separate the tails. You can do that just by giving them a little tug, like so. The last step for this fly is we have to cement it. So turn the fly over, and then we're going to apply cement to the underbody of this and seal everything in, and the threads, let it soak in good. Now for this cement, here's a little tip for you. Don't use lacquer-based cements. For foam products, it will eat the foam and will ruin the fly. You must use a flexible cement, a vinyl-based cement, or a water-based cement, which I'm using here. It's a Loon Outdoors flexible head cement, and I did buy this at Gander Mountain in Coldwater. It's available, it's a pretty durable product, and it won't degrade the foam. So you're going to need this for tying these patterns, so keep that in mind. Don't use that old lacquer-based stuff. So I hope you enjoy this fly pattern, and stay tuned for more Branch County Outdoors.